Let's roll.
All right, welcome back to another podcast. Super excited to have this one, back going. I know I had the podcast like a couple months ago. Got more production now. It's not on a GoPro anymore, and I think I have a very good guest for you guys to see now as a first episode. He's a mentor to me. Learning a lot from him. If you want to introduce yourself and tell people.
Thanks for having me, Alec.
Of course.
My name is Eric Wright. I've had several businesses over the years. I consider myself an entrepreneur to heart. I love business in general, making deals happen. Growing businesses, selling businesses has been my background. I've had everything from a landscape design build company that I currently own to a demolition company that was sold off in 2017. Currently, my baby that I really spend a lot of time on is my Black Point private equity firm. So that has been my newest venture and kind of the direction that I'm going full time at this point. So it's been a lot of fun, and continuing business and growing the business is really where my drive is. I really enjoy that.
That's where the fun comes in.
Yep.
Is starting it off and really
watching the baby grow and seeing it start from a seedling into a very successful business is really my passion. What I like a lot. That makes me happy.
Well, before we keep going, you want to tell us a little bit about what's going on here?
For sure. Within the private equity firm of Black Point, we do branding and marketing. This has been presented to me by a great group of guys. The product is what really made me love this venture. It's a very, I guess, healthy alcohol, you could call it, if there is such a thing. It's only got a couple ingredients in it, which makes it kind of a so-called healthy alcohol beverage. Compared to other products on the marketplace, the base is coconut water, which is a craze, as you guys know, very popular right now. So that's the base of all their different flavors. This particular one that we're trying today is the mojito. Cheers. Kudos to Coco Vodka, coconut rum. Very tasty product.
I'm a big seltzer person, so I've had like a bunch of different seltzers. This is definitely my favorite one by far.
I'm not trying to sell this at all right now at this point. It's truly, it's a very good tasting product. We're hitting the streets with it right now, pushing it to other venues and restaurants and bars, etc. So definitely something I stand by. I really like the product, and the guys are great guys to work with. So go check them out. Coco Vodka. Great product. So,
what was your first experience of being like an entrepreneur? How old were you? It could be something as simple as
middle school, selling blow pops out of my backpack. It's always been something that I love to do. I grew up, with not a lot of money. Mom and dad were not well off. They had me at a very young age, and wouldn't change anything about my upbringing whatsoever, but it gave me the drive that I have today by being born in a mobile home and having literally to struggle in the beginning of my childhood. So at 14 I was working 2 jobs. I was working at Brian Piccolo Park over in Cooper City, Florida. I was 14 years old, riding my bicycle, opening up the tennis facility at 5:30 in the morning.
Wow.
And I worked at CB Smith Park. Mom and Dad would drop me off over there. Did HAAGEN DAZS ice cream parlor in Sawgrass Mall. Some of you guys are familiar with that. So at a very young age, I was very humbled to start work, no matter if it was a sexy place or not. Work was work to me. So I enjoyed it, and stacked away some cash and was out of the house by 18 on my own. Girlfriend and I got a little studio, and I supported her at that point, and I actually worked three jobs during that small phase of my life. So it's always been something instilled in me, I think, just, by my upbringing, and I've always liked it, enjoyed the journey, and here we are today, drinking cocoa water and
starting private equity and
starting a private equity firm and hanging out with Alec, looking at Marilyn Monroe with a bubble gum.
Money in her hair.
Yeah. Life is good.
Absolutely, can't complain. I mean, I know me personally, my past couple months for me have been crazy ever since, I started hopping on board with you and being really around you.
Things move fast when you really hone in on, what your goals are, and you got to keep up with, how fast things go. Otherwise,
for sure,
you lose the momentum. You got to strike while the iron's hot. And when you're focused and you have a mission, it literally moves real fast, especially in my life, at least.
Yeah, you start doing some real damage when you're locked in.
Especially having guys like yourself that are hungry, as hungry as I am. It really gives the speed and the momentum.
Hold each other accountable too. We hop on multiple calls a day, like always just bouncing ideas. Like
constantly communicating is huge. Communication is the key to any good relationship, as you guys know, especially business relationships.
Sure.
You gotta communicate. Constructive criticism goes both ways. So it's a good relationship when you lock in with some guys that are like-minded, and you guys have heard that before by a lot of these guys, influencers on social media and whatnot, but it is so true. It really is.
With you being, moved out at 18, at that time, were you like really networking, or when did you start networking and really?
I think my networking within business was a little bit later in life. Obviously, having relationships in the fields that I was working in at the time was a must. But as I grew into this entrepreneur role that I currently have, that's definitely gotten to be more and more one of my fortes, I guess. I'm not the smartest guy, but I do know, and I think a lot of other people that know me well enough can agree that networking is something that I do well. I like to bring people together. I like to make deals happen. That's how the private equity firm started. I was connecting off-market development deals in Space Coast area of Florida, primarily, with overseas investors, and really just connecting, a development with a investor. So, yeah, the networking is a huge part of entrepreneurship and growing. So, I believe in networking. It's a huge part of what we do. We hold a networking event once a month. I hold several Zoom calls on a daily basis, Monday through Friday, with different partnerships that I have from Arizona to New Jersey, South Florida. And yeah, it's a big part of business in general, in my opinion.
I agree. I mean, I think I've kind of told you the story how, like, why I picked up a camera in the first place, because I honestly sat back. A year ago, this time I was still making smoothies, minimum wage.
Yeah.
And then I really wanted to change my life, and I thought, like, how can I bring value to someone like you?
Sure.
And I was like, everyone needs social media content nowadays, so I picked up a camera, watched YouTube videos, taught myself, and
good field to be in. I mean, it's growing astronomically. It's the new way marketing is going, in my opinion. All the social media platforms and content being on social media, etc. I think you picked a good field to be in. It's not going anywhere for a long time. It's the future, in my opinion. So
absolutely,
that's why we're sitting here today, really.
Yeah, content right here. This is you guys are gonna be seeing these clips for a while.
Yep.
All right, so I'm sure a lot of people with all these courses popping up, and I guess the way you make money nowadays, you can make money online from pretty much anything now.
Mm-hmm.
I know this is a very popular topic to talk about. What is your thoughts on getting a college degree, and did you get a college degree, and kind of like the route you took with that?
Sure. I mean, interesting, nowadays it's actually being talked about. growing up, it was always, the norm is to graduate high school, go to college, get your degree, so on. Become more and more talked about how a lot of people kind of frown against or have their opinion that college isn't necessarily a good move for everybody. Obviously, if you want to be a doctor, a lawyer, which are great professions, things that need that degree in order to get that job out there in the world, it's great for them, in my opinion. I went to college for about a year, had a lot of fun, but personally, my belief, it's not for me. I'll say it that way. I don't find it necessarily valuable with my career that I've had over the last couple decades. I think it's something that it is good for some people, but for myself, it just wasn't something in my wheelhouse. It was a waste of time. I actually acknowledged it fairly quickly by going into credit card debt. Again, mom and dad weren't well off and had to make ends meet myself while I was there. I was working jobs and just the whole time while I was there, I kept thinking about what type of business could I open that was low overhead to get started and get out there and start making some real money out in the real world. And came up with some ideas and got out of college, moved back home for a couple months, got on my feet again, got an apartment, got my own business up and running, and since then it's been...
The rest has been history.
Yeah. So by my early 20s, I was a millionaire. I made a lot of money in my early 20s. I worked hard. I worked so hard. A night out for me was to go to the local Outback and treat myself to a steak, even at that stage in my life. I was very driven. I was very humbled and tried to save as much as I could. But I took a lot of risks in my businesses by buying heavy equipment and new work trucks and things like that. So that's where I got my high, I guess you could say, by developing my business, making the money, and growing. It was a rush. So as soon as I got that taste, I still to this day can't get enough of it. So
I know Justin Waller is a big person that preaches, putting your head down in your 20s and just grinding.
Yep.
And I'm not saying not to enjoy, every now and then, like you said, treat yourself.
Sure.
But he's a big person that preaches, put your head down, grind your 20s, and then
big fan of Justin.
30. And
yeah, I couldn't agree more. You're lucky enough to be, at an age right now where you get to hear a lot of these guys on social media. We didn't have that, growing up at my age. But yeah, Justin, Wes Watson, all those guys. I love what they're pushing, the message that they're pushing. It's what I've lived by, and it's great to see all the young guys being able to hear what they have to say and have a different opinion about how life goes. And again, hitting back on the college, they're not big college guys as far as I know, and they're out there in the streets hustling every day, grinding hard. So that's the life I lived. I can relate. And still to this day.
Yeah, I know. Like me personally, I just graduated 2 months ago, and I feel like I wasted 4 years of my life when I could have been out in the real world, getting more experience and trial and error.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of just going through that now. So I feel like.
Yeah, and there's good stuff that comes out of college. Unfortunately, I don't think they teach you what you need to know to be an entrepreneur in the real life.
Not at all.
So that's the main thing that I gathered quickly, going into college.
All right, so do you want to kind of talk about more like what Blackpoint is? What are the different sectors that fall under Blackpoint?
Sure.
Kind of just hop into
Sure.
that.
Again, Blackpoint's my newest company. I feel like I've done some of these things throughout the last couple of years, and then eventually kind of realized that it was good enough to launch and get an official business started. Real estate is how it started. As I mentioned earlier, I was a networker connecting people that had off-market opportunities for development and guys that were investors in development, and put the two together, earned a little commission, got a taste of how that world works, and you know, the opportunity of making large sums of money on the real estate sector in general. Primarily commercial is what we're specializing in. So again, I got a taste of it and I loved it, and started Black Point. Black Point has real estate. It has the lending division, which is a very active division at the moment as well. So we lend everything from small business lines of credit to commercial development projects upwards of $1 billion. We've got about $10 billion worth of lending opportunities that we have on the pipeline currently, and that's just within the last couple months. So it's a very big division for us as well. Merchant is one of our newer divisions. We locked arms with another influencer, Brad Lee. Brad Lee has a merchant company, and we are agents under his company. Again, trying to surround ourselves around guys that are super successful, that are very driven, like-minded, is really what we're doing here. So merchant, and then we have investments that are primarily on the insurance side of things. So we're paying upwards of 15% return on your investment. This is all SEC regulated stuff, minimum of $100,000. Anybody who's interested in any of these types of things, please feel free to contact Alec, contact me, and we'll put you onto some really good opportunities. Marketing, who I've locked arms with Alec, and just recently have you know, started to get some new accounts, and we're handling everything from all of their website, SEO, social media platforms, video content, etc.
Google ads, Facebook ads, Instagram ads, all that fun stuff.
Yep.
So with real estate being a sector under Black Point, what are your thoughts on the real estate market right now in general? Is it a good time to invest or a bad time to invest?
Great question. Big subject right now. Obviously, markets are changing. I have witnessed the 2008 mortgage crisis. I was invested heavily, not heavily, but I had 3 houses at the time, roughly $3-4 million worth of real estate. So I've seen some cycles, and history repeats itself is what I've realized as I've gone through life, and there's always opportunities, which is the beautiful thing as you get a little older and you have some wisdom underneath you. And if guys like yourself that are younger can realize that now, you will be able to take advantage of bad times, because there's always opportunities. As I stated earlier, within our company at Black Point, we are heavy on the real estate side of things. I'm a firm believer in real estate. You look at graphs and real estate in general, over time it's may have hit some downward times, but it's on a steady uptick. So that being said, you know, where can you find the opportunities now? You know, personally, we're investing heavily in pre-foreclosure homes. We have locked arms again with some really good guys. My partners John Troutman, Sam Sutton, Rafael Cortez, great guys. Gave me an opportunity to take on the state of Florida, and they have a technology behind them out in Arizona that they developed called Map Driven, and it identifies all of the houses that are in our local areas that are going into foreclosure, and we hit them prior to an auction date. So we're investing heavily into that sector right now. There's been a lot of layoffs with, you know, Google and Amazon and all these big corporations. So what we've noticed is, you know, the middle income, lower income class housing has opened up into an opportunity. What we do is a little bit different. We're able to help them get out of a bad situation. We give them some cash on the side in most cases to be able to move out. Some cases we're getting very creative. They need, their car payments caught up. We're over there trying to help them with their bad situation. So that's one sector of the real estate that we're currently into. I have more of a background on the commercial development side of things, so we have several off-market development deals that we solicit to our network of investors. This isn't something that we blast on LoopNet and things of that nature. It's literally relationship driven. I've got relationships on the broker side of things, that guys that I've known since childhood that are now real estate brokers. They give me first a right of refusal to get an investor to invest on their off-market opportunity. Multi-units, mobile home communities, all that commercial sector is really what I specialize in, I guess you could say. So that being said, in that sector, it's a little bit challenging with, interest rates rising, etc. We've got a lot of hard money guys behind us, and that's where our opportunity advantage within the commercial sector is. The banks are difficult to get lending on the larger projects, so we're coming into play with not only bringing you the opportunity that's off market, that's not being solicited by the masses, but we also can provide you with the lending as well. So
it's huge.
Yeah. That being said, I find that as an advantage in a hard time in the economy of the world, really, but especially here in the United States, as you know, it's a little rough out there right now. The stock market's not doing good, so these are great opportunities that we have available and that we're pushing hard on. We believe that are good opportunities within the bad times. So,
I don't know if you're in it right now, but what are your thoughts on, I know it's a very talked about topic in the real estate world, like Section 8 housing?
Not something that I've dabbled in. I will say, not to veer off of your question, but we're honing in on workforce housing. We've got a project that Coca-Cola is requesting a development to be built that it's not our project. I'm brokering the project out. But workforce housing is when a big corporation is moving into an area and they have the desire to house their employees. We've got some inside information where we're able to find out where these big corporations are going. Space Coast, Elon Musk's company, moving into that area was a couple years ago. Now we've got a big plant going in. Can't say where, but if you're interested, call me and you'll sign an NDA and I'll get you all the information. Great opportunity, upwards of a $500 million spread profit margin on this particular deal. Again, I don't have much experience in Section 8, but I think of workforce housing is somewhat similar. It's not obviously paid by the government, but that's one thing that we're honing in on that's somewhat new to us, is the workforce housing. Coca-Cola actually pays $75,000 for each of the houses.
Wow.
So they help relocate and help get into the new home. So we're honing in on that particular sector hard at the moment. Section 8, I've heard really good things about it. I know the basics of it, but something that, I think we would definitely dabble in eventually. Wes Watson partner, what's his name, Eric?
Eric, yeah.
He preaches about it. So that caught my attention when he was speaking about it. And I have some friends that are big in it as well. So I think anything that's backed by the government where you're going to get your money on time is huge. That's the main benefit of it. sometimes it is very difficult to collect rent. I have my issues there. So, yeah, the government pays their bills, and that's the main thing.
You're getting on time, and
you're getting going rate value. So, definitely something to look into further.
Definitely. So I know, since I watch a lot of their videos and I'm always seeing it, I follow them, etc. Wes and Tristan Tate are huge on preaching, you know, when you get that big check and go get that nice car, go get that luxury apartment, because it's motivating. It motivates you, you know, to get after it. What are your thoughts on that? Do you recommend doing that? What's your personal experience?
I think everybody's different, but me personally, I have, coming from nothing, I have always been a little bit flamboyant and willing to push the envelope and take risks. That's been something from the very beginning of my career in my 20s. You know, the American way is to save the money, put it in your savings, put it in a 401k. That's not the lifestyle that I live. Do I invest? Yes, but I am a risk taker. Always have been, probably always will be. The cars, the houses, the nice restaurants, and all of that is part of the lifestyle that I personally live. I've always been one to take risks. It's not for everybody. Being an entrepreneur is very risk-taking in general. It's a very stressful life. There's a lot of ups and downs. I've been down several times. Once you feel that, it is the drive to never get back to that point again. But yeah, me personally, you know, when I bought my first Ferrari or when I bought my first house, I was worried if I was making the right decision or not. Obviously, it's a lot of money, a lot of responsibility. But really what I realized after doing this myself, my experience was it pushed me to get to the next level, and it works. Everything always works out as long as you have a positive mindset and you're driven with your career and your ambitions. So it works for me. I don't think that is for everybody, but you know, it's something that definitely elevated me, and it works in my lifestyle personally.
I think essentially, if you don't take risk, you're just going to stay in that comfort zone, because you're not going to change your situation at all.
Couldn't agree more. Yeah, it definitely gets you out of your comfort zone, pushing the limit, rising to the next level. You got to get out there and take risks for sure.
Yeah, of course. And like for me personally, I never wanted to be on social media, and like now I feel weird if I'm not on social media. It's like different, investing into camera equipment, investing into a whole bunch of different stuff, and you know, it comes with a risk.
Of course. Yeah, and you're not going to get out of that comfort zone unless you're jumping into that next deal, next risk factor.
Of course.
And it's going to drive you. It's going to elevate you. So I personally believe in it. I would recommend going after your dreams and the things that you want, and just getting down and dirty and working hard and manifesting. And you know, for me personally, I'm a man of God. I go to church every Sunday. I pray for these things, for a good, successful career for my family and friends around me. I love helping others. So you know, push hard, go after your dreams, and you'll be surprised. Things end up working out for you.
I caught what you said about manifesting. I know, I feel like it personally works. I've told you a little bit too. I journal every day and visualize. I told them maybe 3 weeks ago, I'm like, I go to the Lamborghini dealership and act like I'm walking in about to buy a Lamborghini. You know, just putting it out there and really manifesting that. And I think it does work. I mean, I haven't gotten a Lamborghini yet, but I'm sure it's happening soon.
It will happen. That's for sure. You're a very driven individual, and you know, when it's scary to have a man that is you know, got a mission and is driven. You can't stop it. So it'll happen. It's inevitable is the way I see it.
Of course.
You know, I drove around as a kid out in Southwest Ranches with my buddies in high school, looking at the houses and loved these ranch style homes. And by 23, I owned my first one. By 24, I owned my second. By 26, I owned my third. Started going to the beach, looking at the houses on the Intercoastal. You know, that's where I'm at today. And I, you know, always wanted that in my life, and found a way to make it happen. So between hard work and manifesting and
Putting those intentions like out there.
putting all that out there in the world, it's inevitable that it will definitely happen. So
Of course.
life is beautiful.
It is, you know, and
It's crazy.
like you said, once you're locked in, it starts happening. It's like a snowball effect, you know, it starts going like this.
And it moves as fast as you can keep up with it. So
Absolutely.
me personally, I like to go fast.
But at the same time, like it can go, if you get complacent, you get, you know, lazy,
Yeah.
you can lose it all like very quickly.
Yeah. You got to make calculated decisions. That's for sure.
Of course.
That's for sure.
And I like to kind of end the podcast with this one question. I feel like it's a great way to end it. What would be your greatest piece of advice for a young entrepreneur that they can take away from this podcast?
Great question. You know, at the end of the day, it comes down to what's going to make you happy, following your dreams. That's what I think, you know, any young man or woman should go after. Being an entrepreneur is definitely not for everybody. It's high stress, a lot of risk taking. That's not for everybody. That's the life that I chose at a very young age. I was built for this. Going after your dreams and what makes you happy is ultimately, you know, what I recommend to any young individual out there getting started in their own life. And, you know, go after it, whether it's working for somebody else or being on your own, having that structure, working under somebody else and stability. There's nothing wrong with it. I know many successful people that are in the corporate world making excellent money, living a beautiful life.
Of course.
That's great. If that's what you like and what you want to do, go after it. Me personally, I have large ambitions of myself and goals, and I feel that being on my own is the way that I'm going to achieve that. So that's the route that I've gone, and you know, go after it, go get it.
Definitely, yeah, definitely not made for everyone. This was 2-3 months ago, before I kind of started going on board with you. Kind of made a risk to quit my previous job where I was still making smoothies for $10 an hour. Absolutely hated it, and now like I have freedom of my time, definitely making more money, and I don't think I could ever go back to working for someone ever again.
Setting your own schedule, and what you end up doing is you end up working a lot yeah, because you actually love what you're doing, and
exactly.
You know, there's a passion behind it. So
for sure.
Yeah, again, when you find something that you love to do, you end up wanting to work. It doesn't feel like work. It feels like you're going after your goals, and in my opinion, going after your goals is not working. So yeah, I think you made a good move, and sky's the limit, bro. We're going somewhere.
Keep going up.
Yes, sir.
From here.
Let's elevate.
Yeah, and then I just feel like another thing too is just take advantage when opportunities come.
I'd love to hit on that for a second. I mean, the biggest thing in my own path that I've taken is noticing when you have an idea and you don't follow through, or the idea doesn't get executed to the finish line. That's where the problems are with the majority of most people. A lot of people love to have these ideas, and a lot of them are great ideas, but they're too fucking lazy to finish it to the end. So you know, that's super important, is actually holding yourself accountable. Absolutely. And realizing that your idea is going to take these steps, and until you get there, the job's not done, and the job's not done even when you get there. It's time to work even harder. So holding yourself accountable, executing is huge. I firmly believe in it. I preach it just about every day with my core group of people that I surround myself around. Is execution. Get it done. So
yeah, for sure. You know, it's you said, taking the risk, taking the opportunity.
Yep.
I mean, you know my story with, as of 3 weeks ago with Wes. You sent me his page a month ago.
That's a
good story.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. I had been following Wes Watson for a while and liked his message, and holding yourself accountable is one of his big things. Comes off maybe to others a little rough around the edges. Me personally, I like it. He's spitting facts, he's spitting the truth, and if you don't like it, get the fuck out. So I asked Alec if he had been following him, if he knew anything about Wes. Turned him on to Wes not too long ago. Followed him. One other thing that I suggest is, I have relationships with people on Instagram, and a lot of them are famous or influencers that I've been talking to for years. The business relationships that I have with my Arizona guys was developed off of a DM. You'd be surprised, and I told Alec where I'm going with this is, after telling him about Wes, I told him about how I have these relationships that are developed by simply a DM and chopping it up over some conversations, and sure enough, he sent him a DM. Alec was able to shoot a video for Wes when he arrived on a private jet over in Opelika here, and they've been talking further business deals since then, and it's funny how things work out. You wouldn't be there, you wouldn't have that relationship unless you took that risk. And that's a small risk with
all it takes is sending
with big
that message.
reward. Yeah, just execution, getting it out there, going and doing it. Instead of sitting on your ass thinking about everything, you'd be surprised what'll come back to you if you actually put forth some effort and get it out there.
I could have very well missed that too, because he never responded to me. He left it on scene, and then the next day I had someone from his team message me literally 30-45 minutes before saying, "Wes is landing, like, are you coming out?" type of thing. I could have very well just said, like, nah, I don't really want to do that. I literally packed all my stuff, shot over there right away.
Nervous or whatever the case is. Fuck that.
Exactly.
Go do it. Kill it. And opportunities arise from relationships like this. So it's something where you've got to execute. That's
DM is very powerful. I mean, now we're in talks with other people, getting them, getting it flowing. So
it's amazing how it works. A lot of our marketing nowadays is social media driven. So, that's a big part of what we're doing today. It's not your, for your realtors, your magazines and things like the old days. It's all social media driven, and those relationships on social media, you'd be surprised that when you start reaching out to some people, they'll get back to you if you have something that's valuable to say, and you're not, a moron, and you're talking like a human being, and just like they are, they're human. So the relationships can evolve from simply reaching out and having good content, talking to them like a normal guy.
Make sure you have a good page.
Yeah.
You guys need a good page, you guys hit us up. We'll help you with the marketing on that.
There you go. For sure.
But yeah, I think that's amazing advice to end the podcast. And
I appreciate it, Alec.
Of course, thank you for coming on.
Yeah, man.